Why iVigee project manager need the pharmacovigilance knowledge, not just the project management skills?
Every case, every report, every deadline in pharmacovigilance traces back to the one thing, a real patient. That's not something you manage by spreadsheet alone. I worked across many levels of PV, from case processing to deputy UQ PPV, across big pharma and biotech, clinical and post-marketing. So when I moved into project management, I didn't leave that PV knowledge behind. I brought it with me, and that changes everything. How I read a timeline, how I challenge a scope, how I know when something is technically compliant but still operationally wrong. A PV project manager without PV knowledge can deliver a project on time and still get you into serious trouble. That's the gap that needs closing.
So for me, it comes down to two things: prioritization and credibility. Without PV knowledge, you can tell the difference between a delay that's just inconvenient and a delay that's a real compliance risk. That judgment comes from knowing the regulatory framework, what can wait and what absolutely cannot. And on the credibility side, when a client raises a regulatory question on a call, you can respond right away. That ability to engage directly is what builds trust. And in this industry, trust takes years to build and can be lost very fast. What is the real impact of good project governance on PV project, and what happens when it's missing?
We talk about governance like it's paperwork, but every undocumented decision in a PV project is a risk that travels all the way to the patient. Good project governance in PV isn't about bureaucracy. It's about knowing at any point who owns a decision, why it was made, and what happens if it's challenged by a regulator or an auditor. Without it, timelines slip. Decisions get revisited because they were never recorded. And when an inspector asks why, you have no answer. That's not a project management problem. That's a compliance risk. Governance isn't the boring part of a PV project. It's the part that protects everything else.
Good governance gives you visibility. You always know where things stand, what's on track, and where the risks are. When it's missing, you are flying blind. And in PV, that's a regulatory risk, not just an operational one. Without coordination, teams work in silos. No one is connecting the dots. And that creates gaps, which is exactly what inspectors look for. The client feels it immediately. Good coordination means one clear, consistent message. Without it, trust breaks down fast. Good governance isn't about the process for the sake of process, it's what keeps everything aligned. Yeah, that's why at iVigee every project has a dedicated project manager, not shared, not part-time, because accountability cannot be split. What is your biggest challenge in pharmacovigilance project governance, and how do you handle it?
In PV, everyone agrees governance matters. The challenge is that everyone agrees until it slows them down. Pressure builds, deadlines move, and suddenly governance becomes the thing that gets abbreviated. An undocumented change, a decision made offline, an approval skipped because everyone was aligned anyway. The way to handle it is simple. Make governance visible early, not as a control mechanism, but as a shared protection. Governance doesn't slow a PV project down. The absence of it does, just later at a much higher cost.
So for me, the biggest challenge is managing multiple things at once. Different clients, different timelines, different regulatory requirements, all running in parallel. So the way I handle it is through structure, clear processes, clear priorities, and clear escalation paths. So when something urgent comes up, I know what needs attention first. The other challenge is regulatory change. When something shifts, you need to move quickly. You need to update, to retrain, and to communicate. Transitions are moments where small gaps can appear, so staying close to the team during those periods really matters. So I would say structure and staying close to the details. That's what helps me keep things on track. Yeah, so to be 24/7 in compliance. What clients get when they work with us?
Clients don't hire us for deliverables. They hire us because they need someone who already knows what's at stake. What they get is PV expertise and project governance working together, not as a separate services, but as one integrated approach. Less time explaining, faster decisions, fewer surprises. confidence that the right person is looking after the right things for the right reasons.
So when clients work with us, they get the team they can really trust. We know pharmacovigilance very deeply, not just in the processes, but the regulations, the risk, and the details that matter. So when something comes up, we can respond right away and with confidence. We are also not afraid to be direct. If something is at risk, we say it early. Clients appreciate that, even when it's not easy to hear. We think beyond the immediate project. We help clients build their PV systems that are solid, scalable, and ready for what comes next. That's the sustainable part. And we are always looking for better ways to work. We use technology, we innovate, we adapt, because the industry moves fast, and so do we. So what clients really get is a partner, someone who is honest, knowledgeable, proactive, and genuinely invested in their success.
Now, let's talk about the day of project manager. What does your day look like?
Honestly, no 2 days are the same, and I really like it. But in general, my day starts with checking what's urgent, any open actions, any client's email that need my attention, any deadlines that come up soon. And then it's a lot of coordination, connecting the right people, making sure things are moving, making sure nothing is falling behind. There are meetings, of course, client calls, internal check-ins, status updates, and in between we need to do follow-ups, documentation, tracking deliverables. But if I had to say what the real job is, it's anticipation, seeing a problem before it becomes a problem. That's what makes the difference in this role. It's not just about managing tasks, it's about knowing everything and keeping everything and everyone on track every day.
Most people think PV project managers spend their day in meetings. The truth is, the most important work happens in the gaps between them. And every single day starts with the same question: what could go wrong today, and are we ahead of it? First thing, dashboard review. Not to confirm that everything is green, but to find out what's about to turn red before it does. A submission window closing, team dependency that hasn't moved, or a client waiting on something that nobody flagged. A PV project manager's day isn't about managing tasks. It's about managing risk, protecting people, and making sure that when pressure builds, and it always does, the project holds.